Welcome to Mobil 1 The Grid. Coming up, can Max Verstappen challenge for the F1 Championship? Is this the year SHR win their third Nascar title? And will Corvette rule with the new C8R? We get the engine started with a look ahead to the new F1 season with Aston Martin Red Bull Racing. After a solid performance in pre-season testing, Max Verstappen and Alex Albon head into the new Formula One season with some optimism that they can mount a World Championship challenge with the all-new RB16.
We want to fight for the championship, so I hope we can. But looking at last year, we made really good steps. It's now about, of course, putting all those things in place. And in general, we always had a good end to the season, so now we try to make sure that we also start it well.
It's going to be a good season, I think. We've already seen the teams close up towards the end of the year. Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull are close. We've got that midfield battle, which is always going on. I'm sure they're going to get closer and closer each year. I think it's going to be fun. I think the racing has been amazing last year. Germany stood out, Brazil stood out. Unfortunately for me, I don't see why it's not going to continue in 2020.
Albon, like Verstappen, is getting used to being in the limelight, and at Aston Martin Red Bull Racing, that means spending time between the races, taking the show on the road.
Red Bull in general, you know, it's daring, it's cool, it's a lot of fun. So I definitely enjoy that. Of course, I'm also still very young, so I think it just fits all perfect. You need to have a bit of fun in life as well, I think, because at the end of the day, of course, you know, we are there to perform in F1. You also need to have fun in what you're doing and sometimes be a bit crazy.
In terms of having them kind of events to take your mind off it, actually, you don't. I'm still thinking about what I need to do, speaking to the engineers, areas I need to improve on. So we're having fun, but at the same time, the mind's just taking over.
With both drivers getting to grips with the new RB16, there's plenty to think about. Having ended last season on a high, the team are determined to begin 2020 in the same way.
Car so far looks good. I mean, it looks very racy. I think, again, we are happy with it. I think what we have done over the winter time, now it's just time to see if it's been enough compared to our competitors.
It does feel nicer, and that's really where the lap time is. I think it's one thing having downforce, and then it's being able to use it. And that's been the main aim. I think we've made really good steps so far. You can feel the buzz in the factory, so everything looks good.
Pre-season testing in Barcelona showed the RB16 won't be short on performance, but comparisons will be difficult until the cars hit the track for real in Australia.
Barcelona mostly is about testing the reliability of the car and just try some things on the setup, but especially the first week, it's more important to just do a lot of laps.
Everyone's sandbagging at the end, so you never really know what everyone's doing. Our goal is to hit Melbourne as strong as possible. It's always the first time the cars are hitting the track in the year, and there's that buzz from everyone, also from the teams, to see where they are. And it normally makes for good racing.
One race is not going to define what you're going to do for the rest of the season. It doesn't matter too much if you're first, second or third. It would be, of course, very nice to win that race, but as soon as you can see that we are competitive, then it can still be a very exciting season even after only the first race. We want to win the championship this year. Everybody wants that and everybody's working very hard for that.
We head on to the grid now for electric race action.
Round 5 of the Formula E Championship, and Antonio Felix da Costa was on pole for the MARRAKECH E-PRIX for the DS Techeetah team. Behind him were BMW I Andretti's Max Günther and Porsche's Andre Lotterer battling it out at the start. Da Costa sailed away at the front and Lotterer dropped back to finish 8th. Later in the race, Günther came under pressure from Da Costa's teammate and reigning champion Jean-Eric Vergne, who was looking to make it a 1-2 for DS Techeetah. Vergne did get past Günther, but was low on energy in the final stages, allowing the BMW driver to take back second on the last lap. But the E-PRIX belonged to Portugal's Antonio Felix da Costa, who took the race by 11 seconds for his first win of the season.
I think we had a good plan in our mind and, you know, amazing preparation back home. All the guys in Paris, you know, we do a lot of hard work and it pays off.
Da Costa now leads the championship as the teams head to Europe for round 6, the Rome E-PRIX.
NASCAR next, and with the new season now underway, we catch up with Stewart-Hass Racing for their thoughts on the 2020 championship race.
SHR showed off 4 lightning-fast Ford Mustangs at the season-opening Daytona 500, following on from a strong finish to the 2019 season where 3 cars reached the playoffs and team leader Kevin Harvick just missed out on his second championship.
I would look at last year as one of our best seasons. You know, I think as you look at the transition in rules, going to the Mustang, and then just starting not anywhere close to where we wanted to be at the beginning of the season as a company, we gave ourselves a chance in the end to compete for another championship in what looked like it was going to be, you know, a tough year.
The needle's always moving. You can sit there and take everything you learned from last year and try to analyze it and try to figure out how you can manipulate it and change it and make it different for the upcoming year. But you know, you hope when you get to the racetrack in February and start at Daytona and then get to what we call regular racetracks after the 500, you kind of find out where you shake out and where your program's at.
I think we have a much better understanding of our aero maps and the things that, you know, we're putting into our sim programs and things like that as to where the aero balance is and all the things that go with that. So, you know, I think we learned a lot, and I think we'll be in a much better position to compete for wins, you know, at the beginning of the year.
2020 sees a crew chief swap for 2 of SHR's drivers. Clint Boyer is now teamed with Johnny Klausmeier, while Arek Almirola is working with Mike Bugaravich.
Working with Mike Bugaravich has been really refreshing to start the year off here. He's highly motivated and he's just a great competitor. I've worked next to him in the garage here at Stewart-Hass Racing and at the racetrack, and I've seen his level of intensity and how well he prepares his race cars and the way his guys on his team respect him. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to being a part of that team and working with that group of guys. They've had a lot of success and they know how to win races and contend for a championship.
The good news is the only thing that changed was the driver and his seat and steering wheel pretty much, and some stickers on the car. So outside of that, everybody's intact on the team. All the players are the same in that regard. We already have that relationship established. It was just getting to know Eric, and he's a real easy guy to get along with. And then on top of it, Johnny and I have a great relationship. We do a lot of things outside of working together, so it's easy for me to go talk to Johnny, Johnny to come talk to me, vice versa, and getting the further details that we need to help each other out.
We know each other's drivers just from debriefs and everything, and we have several years of notes of Clint's tendencies and what he wants to put in the car, and just coming into a situation where you don't have to start cold turkey, because I can go to Mike and ask him his advice or how he's handled things in the past, and I think it's going to help us both get up to speed quicker.
Another change in 2020 is the departure of Mexican Daniel Suarez, allowing for the promotion of their young Xfinity driver Cole Custer to Cup competition.
We had an unbelievable year last year in the Xfinity Series. I mean, it was, have 6 wins, I think, and just everything that went with it is just kind of a dream season that you can't take for granted at all. And moving up this year, you kind of got to reset a little bit. You're in a different kind of field now. Guys that have 20 years of experience, and you're the rookie again. So it's kind of trying to figure out everything and seeing what you can do.
One of the things that I really see Cole is capable of doing is understanding what he needs to do to his race car to get a good finish at the end. Not getting too excited about a bad pit stop, knowing, okay, if I keep working, my crew's going to do good the next stop and then give me those positions back. The race is not over until the checker flag falls. You just keep moving forward and trying to get the best finish you can each and every week.
For SHR's charismatic number 14 driver Clint Boyer, advice for his new teammate Custer is a given. But a championship is what the Kansas kid is really looking for this year.
People asked about Cole and what advice or whatever to tell him, and answering those questions reminded me of when I was a rookie. You roll into that deal winning races and dominating, and man, it was effortless. That don't happen at this level. It is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and it's even more hard to do on a consistent basis. You set out the year to win your first race together, so on and so forth. The next goal is to win a championship. I've never done it. It's the only goal that I have left in this sport. So you got to win. You got to win races to be a part of that championship and put yourself in that contention, and the goals are as simple as that.
Time now to go testing with Corvette Racing on one of North America's most demanding tracks.
Sebring is one of the oldest circuits in the US, and the former airfield will put any machine through its paces. For Corvette Racing, it's the ultimate proving ground for their new racer, the C8R.
When I first started with Corvette Racing here, we were here nearly every month, it seemed. It was never away from the place. just doing lap after lap after lap, really trying to validate whether it's gearboxes, drivetrain, whether it's engines, whether it's suspension parts.
Sebring, it can correlate to many other racetracks, so it also helps to be at a good level for the Sebring 12 hours. But we can definitely use all this data we will collect here. We will use it not only at Sebring, but definitely for the rest of the season.
All this sort of stuff needed to be stress tested and race validated, so it is one of the key places we come to with a brand new car.
Sebring's the best place to do testing. It's the roughest track we go to. 12 hours here is probably harder than 24 hours at Daytona, so the more laps you can do at Sebring, the more you can learn about a car durability-wise, and it's a place that's got so many different types of corners. You can learn high speed, low speed, bumpy, smooth. You get a bit of everything here at Sebring.
Private tests like this are crucial for Corvette as they refine the C8R for both the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship and the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
We learn a lot of information about tires, about the car. It gives us as a team an opportunity to try things before we get to a race week where practice is limited a little bit. It gives us an opportunity as a team to kind of gel together a little bit and figure out what it takes. Finding big gains and setup options and tire differences and those kinds of things.
Testing is very important, obviously, to develop the car, but also to understand the car as a driver. Each change is another feeling in the car, and you have to explain afterwards, come back from driving to your engineer, that what actually is the car doing, and maybe you can give already some inputs of what they can do maybe about it. So that's important to get as much as feedback from the car as possible, and testing is really important, especially now, like in this weather condition, hot. It's the same thing we will experience normally in this race too at Sebring.
During the race weekend itself, we generally do not have a lot of runtime, especially in these endurance series where you have 3 drivers per car. You're just not going to get a lot of runtime in the car, and these tests, like we are here today, I mean, we have 8 hours of runtime. We all get plenty of time in the car, and that's especially now for us with the new car, I would say it's extremely, extremely important.
Team manager Ben Johnson carefully sets out the schedule for the 2-day test, and the team must maximise the time they have. With a new car, there is a lot of information to learn if they are to beat the competition.
This week we're here at Sebring trying to develop the car ahead of the Sebring 12 hours, so you go through all sorts of tire tests, tire pressure sweeps, spring sweeps, aero sweeps, just to try to get as much data as possible, so when we leave this test, the engineers can dig through all that data and get a better understanding of what the car needs when we come back here for the race. So for a driver's point of view, the more laps, the better.
The team are really working on structuring the time on track down to that last minute to make sure that we are maximising that time. It's lots of money to be here, to get the track time, to get all the guys here, to get the trucks here, to get everything. It's big budgets and big money, so you have to really maximise that time that you are here on track.
Corvette Racing has won more than 100 races in the last 2 decades. A private test helps the team and partners like Michelin to ensure that the C8R is as successful as the models that have gone before.
Our jobs as drivers can change wildly. So some days it's one guy's job to do tire testing, and he might just be doing the short runs and just doing 10-lap runs on new tires, which for a driver obviously is a lot of fun. Our feedback ultimately is what they go on to build a new tire for us in the future. Every guy has a good eye for dampers and a good eye for a spring package and some of those things. So splitting it up gives everyone an opportunity to try everything, but also then you get a nice wide range of opinions and views on what the car's doing and what's good and what's not. Ultimately figuring out, okay, this is the package that will end up running for most of the year. This is pretty meaningful running for us now that sets us up well for the rest of the year.
Next, we head back onto the grid for more race action.
Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California was the setting for round 3 of the NASCAR Cup Series.
And the Auto Club 400 is underway. Clint Boyer, the pole sitter, takes off.
SHR's number 14 driver led the opening of the 200-lap race around the 2-mile oval.
Clint Boyer leads his first lap of 2020.
Boyer battled with Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Blaney and Alex Bowman in the opening stage, with Bowman in the number 88 Hendricks Motorsports Chevy taking maximum points.
This is the most laps that Alex Bowman has led in a race since he led 88 of them in his Chicago win last year. Green and white checkered flag in the air. First stage win for Alex Bowman.
In stage 2, Paul Sitter Boyer suffered a cut tyre, ruining his day and bringing out the only caution flag of the race.
Now this is one of those tracks where if you go low on air pressure to find some extra grip and you abuse that left front tire by hitting the apron down in 1 and 2 early in a run, sometimes you can get damaged. Don't know if that's what's caused this issue on the 14 or not.
Series points leader Blaney got ahead of the rest to win the stage in the number 12 Penske Ford.
Ryan Blaney and Team Penske win stage 2 by 3.2 seconds.
But like Boyer, Blaney's race was undone by a cut tyre in the final laps.
Oh, bummer. Such a bummer for Ryan Blaney. Off to a great start. Great day he's having here today.
And he will pit Jeff with 3 laps to go.
With Jimmy Johnson fading to 7th, his young Hendricks teammate Alex Bowman sailed home for an impressive victory in the number 88.
This moment right here, if he can complete this, which it looks like he will, a huge moment for Alex Bowman's career and future, and this season that he and Greg Ives and Hendrick Motorsports are starting to put together.
Alex Bowman comes to the stripe to win the Auto Club 400. Career win number 2.
Man, how about that, California? Promised my buddy Aaron we would all get matching 88 tattoos if I won, and I think I have to go get a tattoo now.
Next up, NASCAR heads to Phoenix, Arizona for round 4.
To end today, we take a look at British manufacturer Aston Martin's most ambitious ever project, the Valkyrie.
Valkyrie is effectively a Formula One technology brought to the road, but in a way that makes a car that's comfortable and civilised if you're stuck in slow-moving traffic in London or whatever, but then if you take it onto the racetrack is capable of some pretty outstanding performance.
It will be simply the fastest car on the planet that's road legal, and I guess the closest relevant object would be a Formula One car or a Le Mans prototype. But it's road legal, and I think that's the bit that I have to stress. This is a road legal car. So you could effectively drive it to Le Mans on its road tyres, race at Le Mans, be very competitive, and drive home. I think emotionally for me, it's probably the most exciting car that I've ever worked on.
Conceived by F1's most storied designer, Adrian Newey, Aston Martin Red Bull Racing's drivers had the chance to try out the prototype recently at Silverstone.
It was the first time driving the Aston Martin Valkyrie, so yeah, it's of course incredible to get a first taste of it. I think you can already feel the basics of the car, which of course compared to a normal road car are yeah, pretty different, I would say. The downforce you have on the car as well, it just looks super aggressive, and it was a lot of fun out there.
Looks really cool. I think the first thing that I got was the visual aspect of it. I think especially on the inside as well, you can tell it really feels like a racing car, the way that the monocoque kind of covers you and you feel really safe inside. You sit really low down, you got good visibility, and yeah, I mean it looks awesome.
It's been 4 years in the making, but Aston Martin's £2.5 million hypercar will be well worth the wait.
Compared to designing a Formula One car, it's undoubtedly a different challenge. The big difference is that it's a much longer timescale. From when my initial concept started to be worked on in earnest to when the car will finally be running as a prototype is 2 or 3 years. But it's been very rewarding because it's a different challenge in so many ways. We actually have far less regulation restrictions than we do in Formula One. And that, from an engineering point of view, it's allowed us much more freedom.
It has more of the feeling of an F1 car or a motorbike in terms of showing the structure that exists within. The F1 in Valkyrie is the tub, the material science, so all of the carbon fibres that we're using are F1 grades of carbon. Even the structure, the layout, some of the heat shields, the thinking on air distribution. So if you look at the underside of the car, it's pushing and forcing the air to get the incredible aerodynamic downforce that the car has. And the upper surfaces that are incredibly clean and are really about just letting the air flow over the body, again to maximize the downforce but to be incredibly efficient.
So 150 Valkyries are being built, all snapped up already and powered by a V12 engine with a Kerr-style hybrid system. There will also be 25 track-only versions revving around 2,000 RPM higher and with improved downforce.
The track car 002, exactly what it says. So it's the 001 with the if you like, compromises that are required to make a comfortable and civilised road car taken away so that we can concentrate only on the performance of the car. So in that way it's much more like I'm used to with a Formula 1 car, of only working on one thing, performance. We can worry less about the noise and vibration and harshness of the car and really pursue aerodynamics and weight saving. And free of emissions, Cosworth, our engine partner, can extract more power from the engine. So it's a much more focused car that raises the performance level well into senior category motor racing.
Though plans to race the hypercar have been paused, it is hoped that we'll eventually see the Valkyrie take on the Le Mans 24 Hours. Whatever the timeline for racing, Newey and Aston Martin's passion project has certainly pushed the boundaries of technology.
It's an incredible feat of engineering, aerodynamics, innovations, technological solutions that haven't existed within the auto industry. Some of the materials we're using, it's the first time they've been used in any application. In many ways, it's just exceptional.
That's it for now, but join us on Instagram, Twitter and YouTube for more exclusive NASCAR, sports car and Formula 1 content. We're your home of motorsport online. Next time, Max Verstappen enters his 6th season in Formula 1. Elvin Evans gets his big break at Toyota. And Nick Tandy goes for the hat-trick at Sebring. See you next time.